Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and a new 1.07 build video. Today we're not looking at bloodflame, although it might look like it. We're looking at Stormcaller, the Ash of War, which was a long and powerful Ash of War before this patch. In patch 1.07, Stormcaller was made even faster, with raised attack power and poise damage to hold people caught in it better. But further, the actual size of the skill was raised. So from a bird's eye view, the circle is bigger. But then of course we can augment it further by using a long weapon such as the Nagakiba here. And then further weapon buffs like the bloodflame blade, taking the base bleed of this weapon, enhancing it with even more and adding some fire into the mix. This turns the storm into the cursed bloodstorm, a terrifying concept, now generating bleed even when just the wind hits people. We can mix in some fun incantations like the bloodflame Talons for perfect synergy with this build, because hey, they were also buffed in 1.07 to be much cheaper on the FP. So not only is this build very effective, but it's very cool looking. When it comes to PvE, this is absolutely insane DPS potential. You can one cycle two-phase bosses, and that's a big deal. And of course, it's also very effective in PvP. So why don't we talk about that? For our weapon of choice, then, we're obviously using the Nagakiba, which is the very long katana, also known as the washing pole, which means we have one of my favorite weapons and movesets in the entire game. I love the two-handed katana moveset in general, but the sheer range of this weapon is incredible. The light attack combo seems to just work like a charm in all times that I use this weapon. It's a long-reaching, long combo that if you just spam at medium range, they seem to just walk into and get caught by, which can do nice damage. The charged heavy has that wind-up of a thrust, and with the Kiba, that's the long-range thrust, right? So you can full charge it to catch someone out, or just tap it and not charge it fully to poke them at sudden range. The running charge heavy is another running sort of thrust. This one reaches even further because of the sprinting, the movement. What I really like about this one is that even if you miss, you can combo it straight into, say, the Stormcaller to trade and further catch someone out with. This seems to work well with any good gap closing weapons with a good Ash of War to follow up with. Now, thanks to bloodflame and the keen scaling, each hit's going to do solid damage, like 400 to 600 basic hits, and then you're getting the bleed build up on the status. Bloodflame blade is going to enhance that, leading to those bleed procs even from a distance. Even the small ticks of the wind from Stormcaller with your bleed weapon and the bloodflame buff, they'll do bleed up as well. So you can get some bleed procs from surprising range even when the wind isn't necessarily hitting them, which is weird. But yeah, Stormcaller, the Ash of War, let's talk about that a bit. The length of the Ash combo and the new size of it seems to be the biggest shock to people. Getting caught by it or even walking into it not realizing there's more to this long combo. The damage is impressive, especially with the enhanced bloodflame. Just the melee swings can do a good 1k damage, especially with the bleed procs. And if you were to somehow hit the full combo, easily doing 2000, but who the hell would let you do that? So it's ideal to trade with this. Thanks to the wind catching people with a small stagger, certainly better in 1.07, you can get follow-up hits and secure the burst. I really like to bounce it off of something, so basic attack combos, a running attack like I said, an attack that looks like it's their turn to trade, and then I suddenly do the Ash of War to trade with them intentionally. I know I'm going to come out on top because the poise stagger and the big hits and the bleed at that. We can also end the Ash of War combo early, right? Which helps if you've missed it and they're just too far away. There's 4 parts to it technically. The first spin, the second spin, then the first weapon attack, the second weapon attack. And you can stop at any of these stages. That's great control in general, and it's something I want to see for more Ashes, more ability to feint, and more ability to cancel if it's a long animation. I swear though, when the bloodflame is buffed up, the wind radius is bigger than it looks. It might not actually even hit them or do damage because they're rolling, but it will somehow still give them more bleed status. And I've even had people proc bleed from like meters away from me where I swear I've not hit them, and that's very nice too. Now obviously I'm also running bloodflame Talons, which has got that cheaper FP cost. With that new cheaper FP cost, the Talons can be spammed like crazy. So its initial hit and then the pop of the cursed blood is scary. Then you've got a follow-up one and a follow-up one and a follow-up one if you continue to spam it. Thanks to its recovery, you can do the 1-2 combo back to back to back to back. And that's amazing when someone's close trying to roll around it. it is not something they can avoid after a certain amount of time. So trading with it works pretty well. You can land the initial blow, and then as you get staggered and they're staggered, there's the pop that should catch them after. Although you can use it for spacing, popping it and having them back up because they know that the explosion's coming, creating a sort of damage wall where possible. I found most effectively though was waiting until they're committed to a trade and then suddenly you pull out the Talon having never used it before, and how quick it comes out and how much you can spam it seems to do work. Overall, this is a very effective and efficient moveset with obviously strong bleed status tied with the flames and the Stormcaller that's being enhanced by it. Certainly this was fun to play in PvP. What about PvE? In PvE, this is amazing. You can just go to town on the target with just the Ash of War. They're not rolling out. They're not trying to avoid the combo, which means you can get the full thing off. With that, we make a couple of quick talisman swaps to get those many hits, dealing more damage thanks to the consecutive hits with Wondrous Physic as well. We have time before the boss to fully buff up here. Both Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength are going to raise our AR. And then the goal is to just chain out Stormcaller as much as possible. Having enough poise is going to help with that, so heavier armor, and then also another Wondrous Physic aspect. There's even a talisman that can help with that if you want to. It means you can basically just go in, find a window of opportunity for the Stormcaller and go to town, and then just trade happily with it because you won't be knocked out of it and you keep dealing damage. Of course, if you aren't getting the window for a Stormcaller, the weapon itself is still going to do loads of damage because it's buffed up like crazy. It's got that bleed, it's got that curse blood, nice AR at that, and the range and quick attacks to do it. It's obviously good. But of course, you're still going to be looking to Stormcaller as soon as there's a real opportunity to do so. And if the enemy's remotely weak to stagger in any way, like many of the open world enemies, they have no chance. They're getting hit by the whole thing. The DPS potential is obviously insane. The fact that we can one cycle Godric in New Game Plus says it all. And also, how cool is it to use Stormcaller versus Stormcaller? That's neat. To say the least, this is very strong in PvE. And if the enemy can be bled, it's going to be outrageous. But even if they can't, still amazing damage. Next up though, let's talk about the build and explain it, and why not here where we just had the Stormcaller fight. As you can see, I'm wearing the most boring armor piece of all, the white mask, but let's talk about the things that are interesting. So we're using the Naga Kiba in Keen. That gives us an A scaling in Dex and still a good 45 blood loss build up. Of course, when we buff that up with the bloodflame blade, that's even more bleed build up and the curse blood effect itself, which as you can see nets me an extra 54 fire damage, which we're making stronger with our incants. We're using the Dragon Communal Seal because yeah, it's a S scale arcane seal. There's a bit of arcane in this build obviously. So we have the bloodflame blade that's going to be enhanced by something as simple as Flame Grant Me Strength, improving your physical affinity but also fire, making that stronger. To go with that, we also have Golden Vow, increasing our physical damage as well as our defense. And when we're two-handing the weapon, that brings us up to 872 AR. Technically, you can make that stronger with the fire buff, but there's better options, I think. Again, we're using the white mask because it's going to increase our attack power further when there's a bleed proc, which is why we're also using Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which is basically what you do in every bleed build. As this is an Ash of War base build, Shard of Alexander is vital. And then like I mentioned, for PvE, we have both Rotten Winged and Millicent's Prosthesis to improve the damage and AR we have after we do successive hits. As I've shown, the wind pops 1, 2 times, then 3, then we have the swings and another swing. It's about 7 attacks total that hits from the sword to the wind, which is going to enhance your AR every time a hit lands after another. The second Stormcaller you do then in a row is going to do even more damage. Of course, you want to secure that, so having some poise is going to be vital. That's why you're using the Leaden Hard Tier, which is roughly 10 seconds of very high poise. That means we can trade with this Ash of War without really thinking about it in PvE. But it certainly helps with basic attacks and so on, and trading in general in PvP. On the other hand, we have Thorny Cracked Tier to further boost our successive attack power. But as I mentioned, this is a PvE swap. For PvP, I still recommend the Bull Goat's Talisman over these. Poise is going to let you actually trade, and that's going to lead to more potential in PvP. Just like Erdtree's Favor, which is going to further improve our health, equip load, and stamina to wear heavier armor and again poise. So these are the 4 talismans I prefer to run in PvP. The only other incantation I've not looked at here is Bloodflame's Talons, which is purely for PvP and the potential I've shown with that. As a quick look at my stats, here they are just so you can see them. We have the breakpoints of 25 Faith and 15 Arcane to use everything we need to, the 18 Strength to use the Naga Kiba, the suitable breakpoints of 60 Vigor and 20 Mind, and then we've just dumped everything else into as much Dexterity as we can get away with. But there you have it. That's another 1.7 build down using the newly improved Stormcaller, my favorite buff, the bloodflame blade, and the cheaper bloodflame talons at that. This was obviously a bit of a powerhouse in both PvP and PvE. And this was super smooth to use, especially when I get to use my favorite katana. If you've enjoyed this video, drop a like on it so we can keep making build videos like this. And if there's anything you want us to test in particular in this patch, then let me know in the comments. For now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.